Let's talk about the cry for their money, because pensioner bondholders are back at the Ministry of Finance demanding immediate payment of their maturing bonds. Members of the group say they are struggling to survive due to the economic conditions prevailing in the country. Government promised to pay the bondholders who were exempt from the domestic debt exchange program, but the Finance Ministry has failed to make the settlements. Listen to a pensioner interacting with my colleague James Kwesi earlier today.
I'm a retired police chief inspector, a pensioner. And in fact, after I retired, by God's grace, I was able to put something down where I will lay my head before I retired. So when I retired, I had a small thing and I decided to invest it so that I can be using it for other projects which I've planned to do, and to the same time using it for my medical care. As I'm speaking now, I've been referred to Ho to even undergo some medical check-up, and because of money issued, I've not gone yet. And I'm having 2 bonds with Ghana Commercial Bank, precisely Sugakope branch. And on the 17th April, a coupon is supposed to be paid for a coupon. And as I'm standing here, or we are gathering here together with my colleagues, today, 8th May, I have another what? Coupon. Maturing. Yes, to be paid today on the 8th May. And in fact, it's very painful for a police officer serving this country for almost 35 years. And the little I had for that my stewardship, and to be what? Taken by the government, in fact, it's very disastrous.
In summary, what's your message to the Finance Minister this morning?
Oh, my message is that I'm begging him. I'm supposed not to beg him anyway, because it is my own money. So there's no need for me to beg him. He should try and pay my money to me, even if they will seize the issued and give us our capital or principal money we use in the bonds. They should give it to us.
Okay. But how I feel that you needed money, and I was kind enough to give you my money. So I put away my expenditures, I denied myself of certain things, and I gave it to you. Now it's time to give it back to me. Why must I be begging for it like this? It's very unfair. So that's how I feel. You are not treating me fairly. Because at the time you needed money, there were so many other people who didn't come to your rescue. I came and loaned my money to you. Why must I come and beg for my money this way? It's not right. You see, it's not fair. It's not fair.
So,
somebody to dash me money. I mean, I don't beg for money. I don't beg anybody for money. I live within my means. I spend what money I have. So give me my money and let me just live my life quietly.
Well, my individual feeling is I'm looking after my 91-year-old mother. And it's very expensive because you have to buy medication. At this moment, we haven't been paid our coupons. How do you expect me to pay for her medication? You tell me. You tell me, because I don't know. So we are all very frustrated. Like my sister just told you before, we gave the government our money. We loaned the money to the government, hoping that we will get it back at the time that the government said they will pay us back our money, our coupons and principals. As of now, principals haven't been paid. There are loads of outstanding coupons. And what are people supposed to do? How are people supposed to manage? It's just very frustrating for everybody. We don't want to come and sit here and be picketing. This is not something that we want to do. We have things that we could be doing. But because our monies haven't been paid, we are here. So that is the situation why we are here today, because our monies haven't been paid. We were promised that this would be paid to us, and of course, it hasn't been paid, so we are here. We haven't been treated fairly at all, and this is not right. We are pensioners. We don't have any other source of income. This is our only source of income. This is we invested in so that at least we will have something coming to us to use from time and time. And right now we don't have anything because nothing is coming to us. Why? Why are we treated so unfairly? Why are we being treated this way?
Sad realities there. My colleague James Savage is back in studio. James, for those who have not followed this story and who do not know the journey of this bondholders, just give us a brief overview of the commitment government made when they started this whole activity.
Yes, Blessed. So you remember when all of this started, it started on the 6th of February 2023 on a Monday. They went to the finance ministry. The initial call they were making was when they asked government to exempt them from the domestic debt exchange program. I remember at the time, government was putting together plans to enter into calling on its domestic creditors to sign on onto a new program. And so the pensioner bondholders were also part of those groups that were being called. But their demand was that they want exemption from this. And that is why they went to the finance ministry. It rolled on up to 16th of February when the finance minister finally met them at the premises of the finance ministry and mentioned to them that they have been exempted by government.
So an assurance was given
by the
way back by the finance minister.
That was re-emphasized the next day, Friday, 17th of February, when the finance minister appeared before Parliament to update Parliament on how far government has come in the whole domestic debt exchange program issue. And so their call was granted officially in Parliament. But they insisted that they would need a document to back that up, not just a word of mouth. And so later, the finance ministry issued a statement, and then they dedicated a paragraph to that, mentioning that government has essentially exempted the pensioner bondholders from the domestic debt.
But it added that they will honor in line with the fiscal constraints, with the fiscal constraints prevailing at the time.
Which will mean that if we get the money, we'll pay you.
That was the condition.
Exactly. And so they were hopeful that despite all of this, government will stick by its commitment.
Okay, now we're seeing them return to the finance ministry. Any assurance, any word from the finance ministry itself as to what's happening and when they are likely to get their investments?
As at close of day today, when they appeared there, they haven't had any interaction or haven't had any response from any personnel from the finance ministry. Now, before they went there today, Dr. Eduana Nientri tells me that there have been several letters written by the pensioner bondholders to government demanding for the payment. They wrote the first letter in March, early March, and the government promised that at the time they were preparing to pay some of the bondholders the coupons on some of the bonds. And so they were hopeful that when that payment is issued, they will be captured in that. The payment, some payments were done, but they were not captured in. That's when you remembered we were told that some bonds have been turned into treasury bills by government. And so they were hopeful that they could be captured in that, but that didn't happen. And so there were several correspondents. Their final hope was when the finance ministry returned to Ghana from the IMF World Bank meeting and came to form a technical committee to meet them to do some negotiations. And so they went through that negotiation. They withdrew from the negotiations because they said when they went to the negotiation table, government didn't bring anything tangible to them, explaining to them when it will pay, but was rather asking them to help draw a payment plan that they thought wasn't what they needed at the time, and so they withdrew. So as we speak,
no official communication. How about the leading members of the group? What are we hearing from them as the next line of action?
So they are going to continue this as long as it will take government to pay them their bonds. Dr. Edouard Entry feels that it is actually a deliberate action by government not to mind their call, because he feels that government is getting loans from treasury bills, settling other commitments that are debt on its book. And so he thinks that it will be better if government considers them and also take loan from the treasury bills to settle their debt as well.
Thought that from 13th of March, all the arrears will be paid. But 14th, 13th, we didn't hear anything. Then 14th of March, we made a press release that why haven't we received that coupons, the arrears. Then on the 15th, government came out and started paying. He said he was going to pay, but was going to pay for only the coupons that were due on the 6th February and 13th February. It was going to come out with when to pay the remaining coupons in due course. We didn't hear anything. Then later on, government came and said it was going to pay coupons that were due on the 20th February. 20th February, 2 coupons were due, plus principal. Government didn't pay the principal, but paid the coupons. Then we said, well, that is not what government should be doing, especially with people that you have exempted, and especially with people who are relying on their coupons for their medication and upkeep. Now, as of today, if the information we got that people have started receiving their coupons for March 1st and March 6th, as everybody gets, then there will be an outstanding of 19 coupons. 19 coupons and 3 matured principals. The first principal is 77 days in arrears now. You have somebody's money for 77 days, you are not paying any interest. The person is not going to get any interest on that. Instead of getting it back to these pensioners for them to reinvest and get their regular income, you are keeping it. That is not how to run financial market instruments. That is not how issuer should do to its investors. It is wrong. It's unacceptable.
So the 19 are members of your group or bondholders?
19 coupons.
19 coupons of your members?
Everybody who is holding bonds now, you know that you don't let your people die because you can't pay them money. That is not how to run a nation. If your people need money to survive, and the president once said that when people die, you can't bring them back to life. But when the economy collapses, we can bring it back. The economy collapses, we can bring it back. But when people die, you can't bring them back. And we are saying that when the elderly who needs this, who need this money to buy their medication to be able to survive, if you don't give them that money and they don't get their medication and die, you can't bring them back. But if you borrow from the treasury bill market and pay them, you increase your debt level a bit, but we can bring the economy back. For principals, I don't even understand why government will not take money from treasury bills and pay the principal, because that doesn't increase your debt level. You owe 20 billion. You have to pay 2 billion, which is due. You borrow new 2 billion and pay this old 2 billion. Your debt level still become 20 billion. So I can't understand why government will not even borrow from the treasury bill to pay the principal. Well, the government, I think, is more interested in the debt levels than the health of these elderly people. If you control your... But you see, we are in a society, sometimes, even privately, we sell our properties to take care of the sick. This country. If your wife is seriously sick and you don't have anything, you can't borrow, you take a property of your own and go and sell to take care of your wife. People's lives are better than the economy. When they get their money, they will leave. When the economy gets down, people will still work and bring the economy back. So don't be looking at the debt level, because of the debt level. People should go without their medication because they can't have money to buy their medication and die. That is not right.
Well, so James, we need to go, but what are the next steps? What's likely to happen from tomorrow?
The next step is if between now and 10 o'clock a.m. tomorrow, if there's nothing, no official statement from government or any proper assurance from government, they will get back to the finance ministry or the finance ministry from 10 a.m. To 11 a.m. to continue the protest for as long as it will take government to pay them their coupons as well as their matured principals. Well,
James Aveji, my colleague there, getting the latest for us on this domestic debt exchange program. Will definitely bring you updates. You're watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel. We're also looking forward to that heated contest within the National Democratic Congress. The race is heating up. What are the chances? We'll do the analysis here on the show. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly.